Oh, yes, we're live. Welcome to the Inner Healing and Transformation Summit. This is the first of its kind that I am doing as your host, Joy Mkhani. I am an inner healing and transformation coach who works in the realm of ancestral healing, in the realm of healing emotional pain for African women using depth psychology, metaphysical sciences, and African spirituality. So this summit is my passion because we are exploring with women like Vangile here, who will be joining me today. Decolonizing healing, decolonizing African spirituality, decolonizing ourselves. So today we are going to jump in with the first speaker for the summit, Vangile Makwakwa, who is, like I was saying earlier, you are a money boss, money queen, everything money, and more, of course. So welcome, Vangile.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you so much for hosting me and for having me.
Yeah. So this is like the second time we're doing this because the ancestors were like, no, girls, not time, not time.
More like the third today.
The third. So
Yeah, it just wasn't happening.
yeah, so this is going to be like the charm, the same thing. So how are you?
Better now. I was like, oh my God, let me not be the one to fail the whole summit. So, but really great. I mean, apart from today, I have nothing but gratitude for the journey. As I'm sure so do you. This healing journey is just incredible.
Yes, the inner healing journey, the journey of transformation is literally the most profound. I call it the most profound revolution of all time. And it's a journey that always seems so endless and a journey that, I mean, I think we're always on it, but we have this impetuous native moments where the journey kind of like begins. So I want to start there with your journey with healing, your journey with personal transformation and financial freedom as well.
Okay, so my journey to financial healing and personal transformation starts from a very young age. I think I've always just been aware that money plays a critical role in our lives. And for me, I watched my family members get educated, follow the dream, get educated, do everything just right, and still struggle financially. And I thought I'm not going to be that person. Went to UCT, got a finance honors degree in a business science finance honors degree. Then, as soon as I started working, I found myself using up all my money. I thought I had a savings problem, right? I didn't know anything about expansion, income, all the many facets of money. I was a finance graduate, though. And I was just being taught about saving. So I would like just basically berate myself. Why aren't you saving more? Why aren't you making more in terms of saving, etc.? So what I would do with my life is just try to save as much as possible. And that just never worked for me. And in the end, what ended up happening actually is that I ended up having to get a second job right after university at UCT. So I ended up getting a second job and I ended up working as a waitress and being a financial analyst by day. Waitress at night, financial analyst by day, because two jobs, side hustles. I was like side hustling, doing the works, performing spoken word, doing all the stuff on the side. And money still, like money would flow, it wouldn't stay, or money wasn't flowing. It was just a hot mess. There was just no way to explain what I was going through. So I decided to go get an MBA. And as soon as I got an MBA, I thought my life would change. My life is going to be better. Of course, it has to be better. Now you have an MBA, girl. You can't just be doing same old, right? So I got my MBA and I got hectically depressed and couldn't deal with money. I started having panic attacks at the idea of going to just a restaurant to manage my finances, you know, or going to a restaurant and paying cash or paying by card, or going to the bank to withdraw money from the ATM. So my turning point came one day. I was in Boston, so Boston, Massachusetts. I was sitting on the side of of the pavement in Haymarket, and I was about to go withdraw money at Bank of America. I had $3,000 in the bank. So for most people, $3,000 in the bank is, you're not dying, right? But I had $3,000 in the bank and $60,000 in debt, and I had like a job. So here's a crazy thing. I was working for the Saudi royal family as a tutor, and I was making about, for 10 hours of work a week, I was making like $1,000 a week for just 10 hours of work. So every month I was making $4,000, which is, now that I think about it, it's actually a lot more than most some people were making at a job, but it just never felt enough. And I had like all this extra time. So for me, working 10 hours and making all this money, just it never felt enough. And it was like, oh my God, I need a proper job. I need to work 80 hours to make this little bit of money, you know? And I started having panic attacks, struggling. Eventually, I couldn't get out of bed. I was very depressed and I was super suicidal. And that panic attack on the side of the pavement was my wake up call, because I remember thinking, I haven't reached 30 yet and I'm already having panic attacks. And I had stopped digesting food by that point. Like my entire stomach had just decided to lock. I was living on Pepto Bismol. I kid you not. Like every time I ate, I would just like drink Pepto Bismol, and I'd be like, this will just help my system, you know? So much struggle, even physically and health wise. And the panic attack, I'm on the side of the road and I've got all this shame, and I know nobody in my family knows what's truly going on. So I made a decision that I don't care what it takes. I was going to change my life, and I was going to go through a whole process of just really being this woman that changed their entire existence around money. And I knew it wouldn't be a practical thing. It would be very, very much about going on a journey of emotional, spiritual, and ancestral healing. So that's how I came to do this work. And I kid you not, 4 years later, I was debt free. The crazy thing is, my debt was in US dollars. I paid off the debt working in South Africa using South African rands, not losing my ish. It was really interesting. I learned a lot about money in that case. You know, it's weird. Like I always thought I'd need lots of money, I'd need US dollars, all these things. Nope, nope. I learned that exchange rates are great when traveling, but it's not necessary. Like you're this, so money is a very interesting thing. It bends to who we are. It's not about the money itself. It's about who we are and who we become in the quest to paying off the debt, making an income.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've got hot chocolate too.
Amazing. But that's an amazing story, the powerful story. I think that a lot of people can relate to those kind of anxiety, shame around money, just like being scared to look at your bank account, being scared to just like, even have a conversation about money. I think in the African community in particular, I've met many friends who tell me they could never share their bank account, or the amount of money that they currently have. There's just this secrecy around money and our relationship with money.
Mm,
A lot of negative emotion. By negative meaning, shame, embarrassment, fear, anxiety attached to money. And I think like
mm,
when we're speaking, I was like, I think that majority of Africans in this community that we are living in the scarcity anxiety level of connecting and relating with money. This is like, I think not every, but a majority of us are in that realm. And I think we need to start talking about money beyond it being a physical thing, but also how our emotions and who we are, connect with it, and it's what you do, right? What was the thing that got you to transform how you thought about money? And maybe there are many things that you had to do to transform this relationship with money so that you can clear off your debt.
Hmm. Okay, so transforming our relationship with money. So, okay, where do I start?
It's a good.
I started, let me just start where I started, right? And then walk us through the journey. So when I started this healing your relationship with money, I started where everybody starts. I started with affirmations, I started with visualization, I started with that, and it didn't work for me. I know for some people it worked, but it didn't work for me. I was at a space where already I believed I was a failure. So I wanted quick results now. And everything that my psyche did was to look for proof that I was indeed a failure. So when the affirmations were taking forever to work, it reaffirmed that, oh, it works for others. They affirm for like a week, 3 weeks, and their lives change dramatically. I affirm for like forever and a day, like literally, and nothing ever changes. So yes, I must be a failure. And it absolutely broke me. There are no words to explain how broken I became, because I went from already broken, hectically depressed, and then I dipped into complete suicidal, right? And I have a history of depression, or had a history of depression, because I haven't been depressed for like a decade now, since I started meditating and doing this work. It's been amazing. And that we'll talk about how sometimes the pain that we feel is not even ours, it's our ancestors, right? So, which is where I'm going with this healing. So I tried that, and then I realized you can't trick the universe. Your pain is your pain. You've got to be in it, feel it, heal it, everything. So then started this whole healing journey. I had no clue what the heck I was doing. I came across a book by Louise Hay where she talks about, oh, you can heal your life. I tried the affirmations, and I went back and I said, this woman talked about something called healing the inner child, and she didn't give instructions. And I didn't know that this would later be a huge body of my work. But then, and this is an actual, I have to thank this guy, because he's the one that helped me get to this point. I was in the middle of something with my then sort of boyfriend, who is now an ex, right? But, and I just couldn't get this man to just focus, see me. I was going through my usual drama and insecurities. And then I did inner child work, and I was like, wow, something is shifting between us. So yeah, my finances are still not changing, but wow, look at my relationship, my romantic relationship. And I've done this twice, 3 times. And of course, when this happened, I was like, no, I'm good. There's been this shift, and I didn't bother. I forgot the original reason for doing this, right? So then I was told about the Vipassana meditation. I I went back to my depression. I broke up with the guy. Then I started dating someone else, and they kind of took my mind off everything. Basically, I started to see how, like, I take. Sorry, are you hearing that?
Sorry?
Oh, okay. You didn't hear any of the. You're not hearing the military practice. Great. Okay. So, so then he's like. Then I got into another relationship, and when that went bad, I was like, no, man, everything in my life is just terrible. My finances, I'm still having the panic attacks. My ex at the time was looking after me. So somehow I'd manifested someone who was paying every single bill. I mean, even to the toiletries, my rent, my everything. I was the ultimate kept woman, like, seriously. So then, but in this being kept, I wasn't like everyone else. I was kept and stressed to the hilt. I was kept and having panic attacks in the fact that he's keeping me. Every time he would spend his money, I would panic on his behalf. So I was like, just panic. So my panic was now spilling over to everything. And that led me to realize on a deeper level deeper level that, okay, I had the panic attack on the side of the road. I did some inner child healing. I did somehow, in the midst of all that, I manifested this man who took care of me. But here I am. Not, I don't have to worry about money, but I'm still worried about money day in and day out. I don't have to worry, someone else is taking care of my needs, but I am more worried than ever. It's actually escalating, so we need to go deeper. So then someone told me about meditation. I went to the Vipassana meditation retreat, life changing, changed my life on so many levels. By day 8, I started throwing up pure acid. Like my body reacted, all that Pepto-Bismol and all that acid reflux that I've been dealing with over the years came full up, and I was just in the worst ever situation. And it was just, my body reacted, but something incredible happened. So I started throwing up acid on day 6. Day 8, and I'll never forget this, it's like 4 a.m. in the morning. I'm sitting in meditation, and I have this thought that I've never felt this kind of peace in my life. And it's just, my body, everything is at peace. Understand, my situation hasn't changed. My life hasn't changed. I'm still fully $60,000 in debt. I still haven't made a penny in 2 years. I still had a man that's been keeping me, right? And yet I am feeling peace. And I can't understand this. I walk out of there 10 days later, and my life, I break up with the guy for good, leave, never look back. I don't even have a place to stay, but I just know I will be fine. And this was the beginning of my healing journey. And this was incidentally where I also then, I'd forgotten all about you can heal your life, because I'd manifested a man now and my finances were good. First thing I do when I walk into this new house that I get is this guy gives me that book, and I'm like, oh, this book doesn't work for me. He's like, clearly, and he's like, oh, you've had it twice. Maybe there's something else that you need to learn here. Somehow the inner child trauma comes back, inner child healing. And I start doing tons of inner child work, but then my work starts taking a turn to something different. I start doing deep work around ancestral healing. And Joy, I kid you not, like I had no clue what the hell I was doing. Sorry, there's like some kind of craziness going on behind me. So like I had no clue what I was doing, and my life started to shift. I started, and I come from a family of Sangomas, so I just shifted how I do ancestral healing. I mixed in meditation. I started doing yoga. I went vegan. I just decided that I would stop I want to use the law of attraction to attract money. I started going on this journey of what if I heal myself and that somehow heals my finances. I had no clue what the heck I was thinking. People were talking about visualization and affirmations, but I did. I healed. I started going into the dark spaces that I've been running away from all my life, doing things, traveling, alcohol, party, all that. I started going, I'm going to sit with those dark places. I'm going to go into that darkness. I'm not going to force gratitude. I'm not going to think positive thoughts. If I'm angry, I'm going to be the angriest person, and I'm going to be in my anger, but I won't let it completely overtake me. I will sit with it. I will meditate on it, and I will heal it. And that's what I did. I spent months screaming into pillows. I don't know what the hell I was doing. I did haka poses, screaming in the forest. It was mental. Like I just went on this journey, and guess what? The deeper I went, the more I went into the trauma and started healing it. The craziest thing happened. I started falling in love with myself. My relationship with my family transformed radically. Like my relationship with my siblings has never been as awesome as it is. I just found myself forgiving, and then just magic. That's why I call the work that I do money magic. Just like beautiful, beautiful money magic. I got debt free. I started a company that allows me to travel. I literally am just like traveling and working, which is how I know I can do a Zoom class from my car as I use the restaurant's Wi-Fi after buying food from them and telling them to please not switch it off for a few minutes.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love thing you're saying. The thing that I feel is that the foundation of the law of attraction and manifestation and visualization, as we understand it in the mainstream, is that we create our reality.
Yeah.
And that's true. However, in the mainstream, they haven't really went deep into explaining that you create your reality basing that from your belief systems, from how you see the world, your subconscious mind, also your ancestral lineage, and all these other things that are metaphysical in nature. So and
Mm.
visualization doesn't help sometimes because we are not tapping into our unconscious blocks, and it's something that you talked about. How
Mm.
unconscious blocks are related to your inner childhood experiences. Um, this is like from a psychological point of view, but they're also related to your ancestral lineage, ancestral stories. And so if you don't look at that, you're still going to be trying to manifest with that
Yes.
blocking, sabotaging aspect of yourself, because your
Yes.
ancestral lineage is that I cannot ask for much because this is
Mm.
leads to this, but you're visualizing and saying money comes to me, money comes to me, but the blockage inside is like no, but it doesn't. It comes, but you stop it. It comes, it runs away. You know it. You feel it's
Oh, you're visualizing a blockage that is not even your own, Joy, right? Like you're visualizing, and meanwhile, the block is your great great grandmother's. They've been taught that your great great grandmother struggled to make money, and she decided that money is a struggle to get. It's not easy for us to make money. And then, like, it's a story that's passed on from generation to generation, encoded in our DNA. And now you're trying to visualize a block that is not even your own because you don't even know the specific memory that relates to that block. So, how are you going to heal something that is not, didn't even originate with you?
mm.
You know?
So let's break it down. I mean, I'm for this. I'm all about ancestral healing, conscious block healing, and inner child. I love the part where you're like, I needed to go to the dark parts of myself. Your own
Mm.
shadows, but also the collective shadows that are from your ancestors, but
Mm.
also in in the realm of what does the human race believe to be true about money that we then take as that's the collective agreement on money and
Yes.
foundation that I'm going to use to create money in my life. So let's break it down. How do you discover all these blocks in your life, your inner childhood wounds, your ancestral wounds, and also the collective wounds?
Mm. Okay, so how you do it is you start with what you believe,
Mm,
right? Because we'll never know which are our beliefs and which are our ancestors' beliefs. In Jamaica, you think that you're blaming your ancestors for something that you just picked up in this lifetime and you've been running with it, and poor ancestors are being blamed for things. No. So we just work with it, right? And then you trace it back. And what you'll notice, what I usually do is I get my clients into a deep state of meditation. And I wish I understood how I actually do this because my clients are like, how do you do that? And I'm like, I don't know, but I'm sure you also get asked the same thing. You can't explain it because it's what it is, you know? And,
a
and
higher
then
realm.
yes, right. So some person I can get them into that state in a different way. Some other person just like literally I have clients whose ancestors will just come through and be like, so we're here. You know? And I'm like, yo, we just said hello and you guys are already bumping in and I didn't even know that I could hear or see. I don't have that gift of Sangoma, but here they are here and they're here for their healing. So it just depends. So some people's ancestors will let it be known that, we've been trying to heal this for decades or centuries. they'll come through. But often what can happen is you work with the thought, and then you just get to a point where you can you figure out where the root, where this thought or belief comes from. So, and often this is not as difficult as we'd like it to seem. Okay, there's some things that are really nitty gritty difficult, some things not, right? But most times you can listen to money stories that your family has. So listen to what your mother says, what your grandmother said, what your grandfather said, and you will often hear a similar story throughout families. So, for example, in my family, there was this story that there's a deep belief in my family that my mom always said, and I think it kind of works in my favor. But there's two things. So one is we are cursed with money. So imagine I carried that belief forever. You know, like we are cursed with money. It doesn't matter what you do, money will come to you as and when it wants. Like your hard work is irrelevant. So enter the second belief, right? Which also kind of contradicts, because then there's a collective belief that we hold, mainly as Black people, which in my family is like, you don't have to work for money. Sometimes money will just find you, right? Because if you're cursed with money, it doesn't matter what you do. And then the other thing is, oh, money will just find you. So the second belief I love, but the first belief was really holding me captive, right? And it was a belief that I'd heard with my mom. You're cursed with money. You need to do so much. For us to get money, you need to pray. You need to go venerate the ancestors. You need to call on the guardian angels. Do not leave any entity out if you want even a penny, because you need to call on everyone. You have to call on God, the ancestors. I kid you not, the archangels, which is why I work with so many different elements, right? You need to call, and if we learn about Allah, we call Allah. We learn about the Hindu gods, we call them, because everyone, we don't know. Like, this curse has to be broken from wherever it comes from. So this carried on. So when we trace it back, my grandmother had the root of this belief, and probably my great grandmother, and I don't know where it comes from. So when I did the work on myself, this is an absolute true story, and I think I shared with the Money Magic students. Tracing back the "we are cursed with money" story, I found out one day as I'm doing the ancestral healing on myself, and I cannot for the life of me make money come through to me. I've done the visualization, and at this point I've done so much healing work, and yet still there is this block around inflow of money. I've managed to clear debt, to start saving, but the inflow is just not happening. It's flowing at a snail's pace, like drop, drop, drop. And this belief won't move. I try to question it. I try to heal it. I'm doing all sorts of things. And I do one of the meditations around mother wound work that I have, and healing the mother wound across ancestral lines that I have in the Wealthy Money course. And I find myself somewhere in the 17th century. This is an absolute true story. I'm in meditation, find myself somewhere in the 17th century. I meet an ancestor who's screaming that he's lost 21 cows in one day. Somehow they got burnt in a fire, all in one day. Mind you, he's still got something like 15 or 20 cows left, but these 21 cows, everything just falls apart for him. So I'm crying, I'm screaming about 21 cows. I'm in my apartment in Thailand or somewhere. I don't even know what the hell I'm crying and screaming about. But I know this is deep, that I've lost 21 cows. And he comes through and he explains that he lost 21 cows. And I had to do, and I'm on my own. I don't have anyone around me, because I just thought this would be a simple meditation, guided meditation. But so with that, I understood that on that day, when this ancestor of mine lost 21 cows in a fire, he believed he had been cursed. He deeply believed it. That was great wealth to lose overnight. So he never stopped telling his sons about the curse, that we are cursed with money. And they then put it onto their kids. They never stopped telling that story. Somewhere, and I think, because imagine this is the 17th century, right? Somewhere along this bloodline, the story of the 21 cows was lost as to how the curse came about, the belief in the curse came about. But the story, the belief that we are cursed, the essence of it, never got lost in my family. So it was passed down from generation to generation to generation. And because according to epigenetics inheritance, we don't just inherit our ancestors' good looks and charm. We also inherit their memories and their emotions, which you know as a psychologist, right? So obviously those memories were in my DNA, they were locked in there, and then they just came out in the meditation around the curse. And I kid you not, Joy, my sister even says this. She's like, she can tell there was a shift after that healing because the inflow of money just shifted for me dramatically after that. You know, it was like dramatic change. So this is what it means by healing our ancestral money stories. Is that some of these things, I mean, I was doing everything, but this memory was locked into me. And a part of my psyche, because that's part of my ancestors, believed deeply that we are cursed. How can you lose 21 cows to a fire? And in the 17th century at that. And so for him, it was the greatest trauma of his ancestor. So I had to heal him. And in healing him, I was able to heal myself and let it go. And suddenly I'm like, wow, I can't even believe I ever thought I was cursed around money. But this is the depth of ancestral stories. So when we heal, this is what I mean when I say we heal our ancestral stories and we heal ourselves. It's not to say that law of attraction and visualization doesn't work. It works. These are universal laws. You don't even have to believe in them. They work whether or not you believe in them. You know, it's irrelevant. But then there's other things. There's also the law of universal oneness that says that we are universally, we are all interconnected. So obviously, I am interconnected to all my ancestors from time immemorial, you know, and future generations will also be healed by the work that I do. You know, the kids that I will give birth to will absorb whatever memories are in my DNA that haven't been changed and altered and healed, and they will continue and have to do their own healing or thrive from the healing that I do now.
Mhm. I love that. I mean, the foundation of my work is also ancestral stories, ancestral lineages, and even beyond
Hmm.
your own personal past life memories as well, and how you carry the energies from that life into this life and so on. Like you are saying, we exist in a diversified unity. I call it diversified unity, and we're always interconnected to our ancestors, but also to our other selves, you know. And metaphysically, if we understand that time is existing now, it means that that energy of your great ancestor with the 21 cow, it's in the when we think about the universe, its energy is still so present and highly charged because
Yes,
you're to him right now, but you feel that right now in this different time line and so on.
I was crying, Joy.
Hmm.
I cried for a whole weekend over losing 21 cows. I don't own cows. I never owned a cow in my life. I cried like it was me, you know. I just, you know, I can't even explain it. I don't even know what happened. I think you or my sister would be the better person who can explain to me what it was that I experienced.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that in many ways, the idea is we see ourselves so separate from each other because you can see my face and all the other things, but we mirror
Hmm.
more than that. And someone's pain can be your own pain in the way that we can feel pain
Yeah.
with our friends, right? But someone connected to
Oh wow.
level, right, you would also feel that kind of loss. It's very personal to you, even if it's not urgent in this current memory timeline that you have. But it's still very
Yeah.
impacting you, still very much kind of like informing how you are currently feeling about money, how you're feeling about work.
Mm.
I think that we never think of it in that way. That energy, because we are energy as beings, and energy is always both present and always being created and transforming and evolving, but never really
Mm.
dies. Energy doesn't die. Energy is there, like almost like a hue all around us, and we're always either tapping into it. You either tap into the one that you
Mm.
like. This is how my ancestors feel about money, so I'm gonna tap into that and create my life from that. Or
Yeah.
you know, do it differently to say, but I mean, that's great, but I want to create a different energy field when it comes to money. And that's what I think healing is, trying to move from the energetic
Yes.
trying to hold about money to the version that
Because like those memories are within you. So you're trying to create a whole new energetic field around money, but those memories are already within you, right? So most of us are trying to go from here to here, but without trying to bridge the gap. And the healing is the bridging of the gap that will take you from here to here, because I can't go from here to here when I'm still like crying about 21 cows and still like trying to heal from it, because these memories are within me and that pain is within me. And I'm affirming, yes, yes, it's easy to make money. I'm blessed with money. And I'm like, I've had a hectic trauma showing me that I am truly cursed with money. So I now need to heal that. And once that disappears, then you just elevate, and it's not, you don't have to push through it. It's seamless, because then your soul remembers that whole like, oh, it can be this easy. I don't have to make it this difficult, you know? But like it has to be that difficult, and you have to make it that difficult because you're still trying to integrate the trauma and heal it through generations. And what that also taught me is that time is a non entity in this healing work. We always look at time in terms of, I need to heal ABCD to achieve ABCD. But also, I thought, well, if my trauma is like is not bound by time and not even bound by human bodies, then like I can feel someone's pain from the 17th century and still have to deal with it here. That means that by healing him in the 17th century in the meditation and the work that I was doing, I was able to heal myself here. So there is no notion of time. So we kind of set ourselves a trap because we have this belief that time heals all wounds. And that's not true. Like, I mean, how does just the passing of time heal a wound?
you are.
Like, time is just, you know what I mean? It's like time passes. All that time does is with each day we learn how to live with the wound, which is different from healing the wound, right? And learning to live with the wound means you're still in the energetic vibration and frequency of the wound, which is why most of us cannot really transcend and get to the next part of our healing journey and manifest, because we're still in the energetic frequency of the wound.
Yeah, I love that. As you were speaking, it comes to me, and this is what I believe as well. That really healing.
Sorry, Joy, can you hold on 5 seconds? Is there a way to pause this for 5 seconds?
Okay.
A cop just came to my car window.
Yes, we're back. So yeah,
Okay, sorry guys, I had to stop Joy because so this is sort of embarrassing. A cop came to my window because I'm working from my car. So I thought maybe there was something. He was looking at my license disc and looking around my car. I thought it was seriously important. The guy just wanted my number and to hit on me. And yeah, I don't have any freaking words for this, but this has made my day today. I think I'm not joking when I say this new hairstyle has brought some new attention into my life. I swear, it only came with this hairstyle. I was not having this much attention before.
I was like, yeah, you rating at like a high frequency, because this man was like, I have to get her number. It's so wild. We're back now. We're back now, and I was just talking about how After everything that you were saying, it reminds me of something that I teach my clients as well, which is that really healing is transforming your distorted perception of your reality or your experiences. If we go back to the memory of your great grandfather, great ancestor, the limiting and really powerful, highly charged statement, this is a curse, using 21 cows in a fire must be a curse. It's like this equation we created. And to heal that and to remove and release the charge of that kind of statement, you would have to change the perception of the event itself to say, but no, cows can just die and burn from a fire, and it doesn't mean it's a curse. So I always work with my clients on the equation that we always have, and how a lot of them they don't actually make sense. Just because this happened doesn't mean this means that. You know what I mean? But we go around
Mm.
all this unbalanced equations that don't make sense, but we believe so much in them, and we perceive the world from this equation that because every woman
Sometimes we don't even have a choice in the equation, right? Sometimes the equation is not even ours, right? Or sometimes we're too young. In our childhood, we reach a conclusion as only kids can reach that conclusion. And that becomes our story throughout childhood
yeah.
and then into adulthood. And then it becomes our survival story that if we let it go, the world will fall apart. So we cling onto it for dear life.
Hmm. This takes me to the question that I wanted to talk about. Like you, I work with inner childhood experiences, but in particular, the mother wound. And I think the mother wound is so profound for us African women. One, because we don't really talk about the mother wound, what it is, how it's like this real thing for so many of us. And that if we're going to talk about money and we're going to talk about anything, sexuality, relationships, our businesses, we have to talk about our relationships with our mother, the belief systems we inherited from those experiences with our mothers, the energies that we carry around our mothers. There's just so much with the mother wound, and I want you to break it down and how it relates. It's so powerful. I love it much.
After you've said there's just so much around the mother wound, just break it down in like 5 minutes for us.
I know, but yeah, I think that a lot of people need to, like I'm always saying, guys, it's the mother wound. It's so, and obviously ancestral wound, and obviously your personal wound, but the mother wound is so
Mm.
important because it's something that we never want to talk about, because saying anything
Mm.
about how you're
So I'm lucky. I guess I'm lucky or I'm bad, like whichever way you want to put it. I've always had this gaping mother wound. My mom is super intense. She's a herbalist, she's a healer, she dreams, she's a seer. She does easy food tour like sweat lodges. She heals with medicine from the ground. So she's like, basically, I was going to be put through the most. Having a healer mom isn't always as exciting as people think it is. It will take you through the rungs, right? So, for me, what I can say is what I've noticed in the work that I do is the mother wound is super profound because, especially for women, when we identify completely with our mothers and we have vows of loyalty to our mothers, then we want to be like our mothers. We want to emulate our mothers in every way. And it seems like this can't be a wound, right? Because, like, I love my mom. I want to be everything my mother is. And all that. But actually, what it means is that we have these vows of loyalty towards our mom, and then there's the fear of if I'm nothing like if I then start to rebel against my mom, I may lose my mom's love. So for me to not lose my mom's love, I need to be like my mom. Here's where it becomes tricky. What if your mom's relationship with money is okay? So you think my mom had an okay relationship with money. I have many people that come to me and go, I have an okay relationship with money, just like my mother did. What does okay mean? I work hard, I save money, I have my house, I have this, but let's talk about expansion. When we start talking about something outside the realm of achieving, like when we start talking big expansion, then suddenly they're like, uh-oh, I have a money issue because I'm just okay with this level of money, right? But once I think of going beyond that, I can't expand. So, ooh, I may have a money issue. I'm like, yeah, maybe because you have an expansion issue, right? You've just hit your cap. What Gay Hendricks calls, what I don't know if it's Gay Hendricks, but in the A Big Leap, what she calls what does she call it? She calls it the upper limit problem. So then you have an upper limit problem. So often when we're loyal to our mothers, then we are capping our expansion to the exact point where our mothers expanded. And sometimes you're loyal to your mom and she has like a really hectic relationship with money. That's just really all over the place. And then that's a hectic loyalty. That's when you know, obviously, at that point that, yeah, I have some issues. I have some kind of loyalty to my mom and I have some kind of mother wound going. Those people are able to pick at it. But it's when we start doing the I'm okay, and then we look into that, and then there's the fear of I have to be exactly like my mother in order to get her love, right? And there's also kind of like I take on my mother's traumas to share the burden, if that makes sense. Because, and this is so intense when I see, because I see this a lot in Black women. Our mothers have gone through the most because Black women have gone through the most. So when you're going to share someone's trauma and be loyal to the trauma, it's intense because you're basically going to replicate the same trauma in your life and share the burden, which means that your kids are now going to have a burdened mom, a traumatized mom, and it just continues from generation to generation. The other side of the mother wound, which is also very common, is that I will never be like my mother. So the vow of rebellion coming into play. So this one is dangerous because you define yourself by everything that your mother isn't. So my mom was a party animal. I don't party. My mom was horrible with money. I'll be great with money, but I'll not just be great with money. I won't spend a penny. I'm going to be the exact opposite. I'm going to be a saver and stagnate the energy of money from flowing in and out of my life, right? Because most people seem to think that you need to you need to save every penny in order to make money, and then they wonder why every penny being saved and not spending even much isn't leading to financial freedom. And that's a whole other discussion on its own that we'll have to have another day. But this vow of rebellion, the vow of loyalty, and defining, and when it comes to the vow of rebellion and defining ourselves against our mothers, it means that we never truly know who we are, because who we are in that moment is everything that our mother isn't. But there's no mom that's going to be absolutely perfect, and there's no mom that's going to be absolutely terrible. There'll be some aspects of your mom that are great, but when you're fully defining yourself against what your mother isn't, you're rejecting even the great parts of her, even her deep wisdom that only she could have shared with you, right? So this is why we heal the mother wound, because rebellion and loyalty to our mothers means that we're also rebelling and being loyal to them on a financial level, on everything. The mind doesn't do half measures. That's one of the things that we have to realize. When we say we are loyal to someone at a subconscious and at a spiritual level, and we're honoring a vow of loyalty or a vow of rebellion, we are loyal to the T, and we are rebelling to the T. So everything, even things that you didn't notice at a subconscious level, you will start to absorb that your mother did with money. Even things that you weren't sure she did, your subconscious will somehow be like, I'm loyal to that. I'm going to tap into the collective consciousness and find out what it is that my mother did around money. I'm going to tap into that and do exactly that and be loyal to that. And lo and behold, if your mom has some hectic money issues, you'll find yourself really being your mother, right? And then if you're rebelling, you're going to be rebelling against everything. So I'll give an example. So my mom wasn't bad actually at attracting money, and she wasn't bad at saving it. But then she went through she's actually always been a hectic saver. She and my dad, both my parents, don't like debt. They like, as soon as they get something on debt, they pay it off in a year. I'm talking houses, cars, everything. They don't do debt. They don't understand it. They don't have a relationship with it. Enter me with my vows of rebellion and my father wound, my mother wound. I get it, I'm defining myself against everything they are not. I was like $60,000 in debt 4 years into working. You know, I was like, I am going to be the opposite because of this mother wound and having this vow of rebellion against my mom. And the interesting thing is, I could never pay off my debt and fully stay out of debt until I healed that mother wound and healed my vow of rebellion. The day I healed that, I remember feeling a shift and never wanted to spend money recklessly like that ever again. And I've been out of debt ever since. So I was like, I love money, and my vow of rebellion to my mom and my mother wound and everything to do with the mother wound was like, nope, you really don't. Just not going to happen because you have to honor your vows, right? And vows are very much on the spiritual plane. So when we make vows at such a deep level, we are held to account on a very spiritual plane to them.
Yeah, that's really powerful. I'm just thinking about how when you do the mother wound healing, it's for it to really be holistic and really truly transformational. Because this has also been my experience. You'd have to shift from
Yes,
rejecting your mom to just seeing her as a human being, right? And embracing the
yes,
self, you know. And as you were speaking this, I'm also thinking about another wound that is related to us as Black women or women, really, which is the archetypal wound of what is the archetype of a woman and the archetype of the woman with money, you know? And how actually our
wow.
mother wound.
Oh. Are you a Bible person? Because I know nothing about the Bible, but I remember. So in one of my retreats in December, we ended up having this conversation about this exact same thing about the perfect woman. You have to be the perfect woman before you can allow money in, right? That it's almost like money is this prize that you get. It's based on deserving, and that God gives to you, and you have to be the perfect woman to deserve it. So people quoted Proverbs something. Proverb 21.
Hmm,
I know it had a one in it.
yeah. Oh no, I mean I wouldn't know the quote. I mean,
Yeah, but like it was just about being this perfect woman that was defined. And
yeah.
that, like, what we came to the conclusion of. I mean, someone actually read the verse. We had two different Bible versions where we read it and then we discussed it because I had never heard it, and I think my sister had never heard it because we didn't really grow up in the church, and some people were like clueless on it. So some people read it through for us, and we were just like, wow, this is so interesting. And it was about this woman that she's a worker bee, this woman, hey? Like, she is perfect. She goes to work, she sews, she cooks, she cleans. My God, I was like, wow, I'm getting tired just listening about this woman in the Bible, right? Like, you have to be this perfect woman in the Proverbs. And I think that we kind of take that on, that we need to be, there is this concept of perfection, that we need to somehow work ourselves, that we kind of delay our own financial freedom until we have reached this mythical perfection, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's where you were going with it.
that's where I was going, but I also wanted to also say that even the mother wound, the way that we perceive our mother is also coming from the archetype of the mother, of this perfect person supposed to give you eternal unconditional love,
Yes.
such that when mom says anything, which could be really, it has nothing to do with your goodness or your deservedness. It could be that she's frustrated and she's responding this way. But as a young child who's 10 years old, when mom says anything to you and it comes with this highly charged energy, it the equation you create is I'm not good enough, I'm not deserving, and so on. And so a lot of
Mm.
pain and in relationship to our mothers also comes from the archetype of mother.
Yes. Yes. So one of the things that I had to learn was that you're given the mother that you're given. You know, there's nothing else to it. The mom that you're given is the mom that you're given. And but like you said, because what happened was I realized that a lot of my angst around my relationship with my mom came from who I believed she should be. And often in the healing of the mother wound, you realize that your mother is just the soul. You know, there is no, when you say she should be someone for, in order for you to be someone, a particular person or whatever, then you're actually boxing her in. So you're actually denying her own individuality, you know? And when we do that, that's when we get caught up in so much because it becomes, we think that we can only be okay. Then we blame our mothers for so many things that us they don't even deserve blaming for some things, you know, because one of the things I realized is that even the most traumatic incidents that involve my mom, they are just, it's the stories that I attach to the incidents that keep me in suffering, and the beliefs that I form about myself based on those stories and that suffering, that then affects my sense of self, the way I see myself, which then affects how I carry myself into the world, and then how I choose to manage my finances. So if I could heal, I'm not taking away when I do any of my healing, and all my students can attest to this. I'm not taking away to from what happened to that event. We're just merely doing a lot of sitting and healing of, is this event truly saying any of these things that you believed it said? So yeah, like a lot of things, and I don't want to downplay trauma because even some of the things I've experienced are like, whoa, that is insanely, I can't believe I experienced that as a child. That shouldn't have happened. But I found that once we heal the stories that we have around what this concept of suffering of, or what our mothers should have done in that situation, or who they should have been for us at that age in that particular situation. Once I release all those expectations, the event is simply an event. It is what it is. There is no suffering to it. The suffering comes from the beliefs and thoughts that I have attached to the event itself, which then shapes my view of the world, how I see life, and it then also shapes how I go out into the world and show up in the world.
Mm. Because part another thing that comes up, if you are to reject something from your mother or any other person, what are the chances that you are also rejecting something within yourself? You know, and this brings me to a topic that I love talking about, which is, you know, the sinful self or the dark self. This is Kayan's title, which is mom didn't do this, and so this is a sinful behavior or a dark behavior. But what about you? What about your own personal shadows, and how do you deal with that, and how does that come up also in your relationship with money as well? I mean, essentially healing the mother. I think it's so important to heal the mother wound, because the mother wound, it will start with your relationship with your mother, and then you arrive to your relationship with yourself, because your
Yes.
relationship with your mother is your relationship with the divine feminine. It's the beginning of your relationship with the divine feminine and your own divine feminine energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, so what I see consistently all the time is when we heal the mother wound and we heal the father wound, we heal our relationships with ourselves, and we also heal the way we relate to others. Because the very first people, very much at a first chakra level, right, is that the very first interaction that you have with, the very first interactions that we have with the world often in terms of relationships are with our parents. So they set the tone as to how we will be treated, how we will be loved. So, like you said, mom shouts at you, You come, you don't think, kids don't know. You don't know as a 2-year-old that there's a world of work, you know, where people are stressing you, or that people can be complete and utter you know, and they just like make you want to bang on something. You just know what you know. You don't know the world outside of you, right? Your soul knows much more, but you as that 2-year-old don't know. So when mom is shouting and screaming, you think, I am the one in the wrong. There's something wrong with me. I am the reason why she's shouting and screaming. So you come to the conclusion that there's something wrong with me. So how, when you have that belief about yourself based on this based on the early relationship that you have with your parents, that your 2-year-old self formed. So imagine you had a mom who shouted and screamed every day, and she didn't know how to talk politely. She snapped. And for a lot of us, there's a lot of moms, we laugh about it. And I find it so interesting in the Black community. We laugh about our mothers being like that, right? We have many jokes. It's like, she snapped, like she put you right in your place. She taught you what to do. But there's not like that means like in that moment, can a 2-year-old deduct that this is funny? Is that deductive? Like we don't have that deductive logic, right? And this is not to blame any parent. So if you're a mom or you've had a mom like this, please don't go out there and blame them. Please, my students will all tell you, I absolutely abhor that. Like I tell them, you deal with your own issue. Your mom was doing the best that she knew how at that time. Now you know better, and you can heal your inner child. You can heal that 2-year-old and teach her differently. And then as you heal your inner child, you heal yourself. So anyway, then if your mom was that screamer and was shouting, you may have come to the conclusion that there's something wrong with me, you know, and you wanted to play and be loved, then you come to an even more damaging conclusion that I am not good enough, I'm not lovable, right? And then what happens is, as you grow up, this thought has been sown as a seed at 2 years old. Every day that happens, it reaffirms that. Every time your mom shouts, it triggers that. I am not loved, I'm not um, lovable, I'm not good enough. So then you start associating shouting with not being lovable, that someone is angry at you, they don't love you, not being good enough. So then we develop this, then soon you start developing this persona of, oh, if I want love, I need to not be shouted, I need to be accepted. Then you become a people pleaser. You're pleasing everyone, you're doing everything to make everyone happy because you think that's what love feels like, that's what validation feels like, because shouting, screaming means I'm not loved, I'm not lovable, etc. So now you've developed this people pleaser personality. And unfortunately, when it comes to finances, then your mind starts seeing that, you know, some people that become super visible do epic things, somehow attract lots of criticism at times. And sometimes when you go out of your comfort zone and you become different from your friends, you lose some of your friends because, and it's really quite simple, your energy changes, right? As external situations change, some things will happen. And in our journey to becoming financially free, it's not that we get more money, it's that the version of who we are changes so that we can match the new expanded version of ourselves so that we can have more money, right? So then you will hold back and shrink yourself at all costs because I am not good enough and I don't want to be rejected because I don't want to be seen as not good enough. People will start shouting at me, criticizing me, and I'll lose all that validation. And this is where the crux of our inner child stuff comes up and why we need to heal all that, you know, as because from the young age of 2, most times it's our 2-year-olds, our 4-year-olds that are in control of our finances. It's not even us, right? And we may not even associate the shouting, the whole craziness, that small incidents as young kids as truly traumatic and damaging to our psyche. But they have formed who we are and they've shaped who we are, and it's holding us back on so many levels.
Mm. I'm always so heartbroken when people laugh at how similar all our experiences are as African people when we talk about what our mothers used to do as punishment.
Mm.
And it's heartbreaking for me because, one, I mean, it seems that as an African community, we have this mass agreement of how to relate with our children, how to relate with money. And obviously, we inherit this agreement from our ancestors, as we've been taught. It's from one generation to the other. This is how to raise your children, this is how to speak to your children, this is how to punish your children, and so on. And it is heartbreaking. And for me, I am so devoted to healing and bringing this to Africa because we need to break this cycle. And once you understand that when you heal yourself, you are actually healing the mass collective, the mass agreement,
Mm.
opening space for the new generations, for our daughters to never ever have to go through what we went through. So that is what drives me to heal myself because I don't like the current agreement that we have on as African people. So that's like it really bothers me at that level. But I want to shift to something
Mm.
that you just said about how you this healing thing that you speak of, you have to change who you are for you to be able to access, the wealth that you want, the money that you want. And we were talking about this the other day. Um,
I'm just smiling because, yeah, we were. And we were like, I wonder if this will come up in the call. And we were both like, we'll just set the intention and somehow, look, we're back here.
yes. So the idea of that the current mass agreement that you hold is you have to work hard, you have to save up as much money as possible, you have to do affirmations and all the visualization to become this version of you that gets the money, right? And it's so very physical in nature of the things you have to do to become rich and so on. But we were speaking about how actually it's the other way around of how you have to become the version of you and vibrate yourself to this energetic field or vibration channel that money is at, because money is a very standard it's in a standard energetic field. You are the one who's not in alignment with the energy of money, so you have to change your vibration so that you can access that money. And you told me that you call it quantum jumping, or is that someone else? What do you call?
I know I don't really call it quantum jumping. I'm like, remember I said it was like I'm experimenting with the folding of space and time.
Which
And
is
I said, like, some people, I know some people call it quantum jumping, but quantum jumping is something completely different. So I don't even want to own that because it's someone else created this kind of coaching technique and I've never done it. So I don't want to, I've read about it, but I don't know enough about it to say, ooh, that's what I do. So basically what I have found is what I was saying is, well, what I know for a fact is that the money that you want, right, is there. You're not going to go off and print new amounts of money, right? Like, you're not about to go off and, I don't know, go and manufacture a brand new car. The car that you want is there, the money that you want is there. So in a world of infinite possibilities. So imagine string theory is right, and that every action leads to new possibilities. So you guys have seen Doctor Strange in the recent Marvel film where he's holding the Infinity Stone and he's looking at all the multiple, what does it say, 1 million something different possibilities, and there's only one possibility where the Avengers win, right? Out of a million possibilities. So it's something like that. It's that every time you take an action right now, there are infinite possibilities. There's probably 1,000 possible futures. So you have the option to choose which possible future you want. And the way that you choose it, you decide, okay, this is what I want. So that's a possible future. So the fact that you could even tap into that answer means that it's already been there as a possible future. It can't, you basically can't tap into it if it's not a possibility, if that makes sense. You can only tap into it even in thought that, oh, I want to be ABCD because it's a possibility, right? So now the thing isn't that you're going to go up and print more money, etc. It's about, the real question is, who am I in that possible future? Who am I? Like, how do I change myself to collapse time? So basically, you're stepping into that version of you. You're stepping into the you that already has all those things. But what most of us then think is that, oh, I need to be A, B, C. We start thinking of all the external things as well. I mean, obviously, there's external things, right? So, incidentally, that's how I got this haircut because of this possible future conversation, right? So, it's like all this, like, there's all these things, but most times it's about the internal. It's like, what do I believe about money when I am that version of myself, right? It's like, what are my financial behaviors when I am that version of myself? And granted, the version of yourself that is like debt free would be spending less. So then you have to become that person now. You have to spend less, which, as you can see, leads you closer to being that debt free you. So you can't just, you have to do an internal change, and that's how you get to be, you get the things that you want. You're just basically stepping into that version of yourself. And for me, that was like, you're folding space and time because you're literally quickening how fast the things come to you. It's not this, I have to go get, sometimes you may have to get a degree and go learn something, but often it's not that. It's like, who do I need to be in this moment? What are my new habits? What are my new behaviors? What is my new thinking pattern? How do I see the world, right? And you literally then have to start stepping into being that person that sees the world. And sometimes you may have to be a little Doctor Strange, right? So, and that's literally, for me, what I think bending time and space and manifestation really is. And often you'll find that when you ask yourself, who is this version of me that is, say, happy with money and on an expansion journey with money, often it would be you. It's not far-fetched to say this version of me would be happy, have a healthy relationship with money. Then you go deeper, what does healthy relationship with money look like? And it may be, oh, she's not scared of money, she's happy around money, she's not anxious, she feels grateful, blah 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 blah, all these things. Then you need to go on a healing journey to become that person, right? Because it's like there's something to heal. Oh, she's not like, why am I feeling anxious? Because I've got this trauma, etc., etc. And then you need to start healing. So the questions themselves will often lead you to a healing journey. So that's why when we listen to a lot of these amazing coaches and amazing women that have just changed their lives radically, be it health wise, financial wise, a lot of the journey has been a deep healing journey, because to get to that version of who they were, of who they are, when they have those things, they have to heal, right? Because really, the new version of you is often, we're here vibration wise, the new version is here. you know, just changing a hairstyle, changing clothes ain't gonna do it. I can assure you.
Yeah, the version of me who I am currently trying to fall into. I have a name for her. Her name is Badass Joy. And Badass Joy,
Ah, I love it.
yeah, I often tap into Badass Joy because the Badass Joy is definitely not afraid of the money energy. Badass Joy does not have one of the biggest blocks that I had for me with money, and that I'm still healing really,
Mm,
is the idea that
yeah.
I think it's both a collective wound and just like something that we all grew up, which is that money is evil and we shouldn't really aspire for it, especially in the spirituality community. There's just this belief system that you shouldn't desire money, you shouldn't desire um uh, physical things, material things, because we are souls and so on. But we often want to I don't know, but when we know that we're spiritual beings having a human experience, and that so if everything in the human experience is available for you, then first of all, it's godly and spiritual, and you can aspire for it. I had to kill that. That was one of my biggest wounds. This idea that I shouldn't aspire for it because, I am Namaste girl. I am, the universe provides. And,
If you aspire to money, then you're going further from God, right?
yeah,
Like how can you, right? So it's like all this hecticness. But I also think, the interesting thing is I find that most people and most of us unable to go after our dreams because of money. We can't fully express our values. So you find yourself sometimes in a workplace that is completely counter to everything you believe in and who you are. But then you find yourself having to stick to it because you're like trying to make a living. You need money. So you're sticking even to things that you shouldn't be sticking to because of money, in which case you're actually betraying the deepest essence of yourself. How many people are working in companies that they don't like, whose values are contradictory to them, industries that are contradictory to everything that they're about, and they have to stay there because of money, because they have to make a living, because they don't want to make lots of money. Having money gives you the freedom to choose. It gives you the freedom to say, and this was something that I started to realize in my business. It's like, I can say now, oh, I don't want to work with you as a client, be it a corporate client, even if you're bringing lots of money to the table, because I now trust that I know money will show up for me. I have a great relationship with money and that I'll be okay. So that means that I start to choose the kind of values that I want to project to the world and the kind of person I want to be. And better yet is that when you're in that space, you can go off and counter a lot of the things that are not right in the world, because you have the finances to start businesses, to do things differently, to invent a whole new way of doing things. You're not bound to the ways that work against your values. So money actually gives us choice. It gives us the choice to be who we want to be in this world, to show up the way we want to show up. So I shared with you yesterday how, for me, I had this major realization when my uncle passed on and my mom's high blood pressure spiked up the roof, and we thought she was going to get a stroke or work herself into a heart attack. And because her brother had passed on, and it was her favorite brother, the one that she felt, she literally would always say, I know even if I have no one in the world, I have this one. This person, even if you guys are not here, he is the one. And then this person passes on, right? So she felt like she had lost everything. But I was able to be there for her for 2 full months. I didn't leave her. I was there, like I literally would leave the house to go shopping for groceries and come back, like for 2 full months. Everyone else afterwards had to go back to work. They had to make a living, right? They had to do whatever. And they had to be on site to earn their money. But I realized that, oh my gosh, because I've built a business and I've worked on this relationship that I have with money, I have this freedom, which I never ever understood, which is I have the freedom to be there for my mother, like for 2 months. And I could have gone another 6 months had she needed me or had she wanted me to be there, right? So it's like, this is the thing. But most of us are making choices. We say we value our families, but because of the way we're working, we don't have enough emergency savings, we don't have savings, we don't have anything. We can't even afford to be around those families that we value so much in times of crisis, because we have to go back to a job, or because we have no savings, we're too stressed, we can't show up fully even for our kids. When they ask for an ice cream, we freak out because we're thinking, oh my God, it's just too much money, because we haven't done the work. And for most of us, our kids are our greatest legacies, and we love them to death, but we can't even show them that love in those moments because we're too busy freaking out and too busy worried. So It's not like most people seem to think having money is about the fleshy things, doing all these cool things, making others feel less than. No, it's about the choice to live life on your own terms, to do things on your own terms, to show up the way you truly want to show up for yourself and for the people that you love in your life. And you don't even need like hectic millions for that. You just need to have a decent relationship with money where you've got emergency savings, you've got some sort of savings, just honestly. So we can't afford to just ignore our finances, regardless of what people will say that, oh, urata chelete, wait. So they just like let them be. If they say you love money, of course, you can't live without money. It's not even about the love of money and the root of all evil. It's about understanding that you're just expanding your choices in this world.
Yeah, so that you can do your soul mission in the world. I mean, this is such a powerful way of
Yeah.
concluding all of this. Like, I feel like we really went to all the spaces that we wanted to explore with this topic. I think it's so profound, everything that you just said. That is what I'm currently working with, and I believe this. And every time I step into really realizing that money gives me options, money allows me, money is my friend. Money wants me to have it so that I can do all the things that I want to do in the world and be of service.
Oh, yeah. That's the one thing I swear, the more I work on my personal finance journey, that's the one thing that always shocks me. It's like money gives me options. And also, the crazy thing is, money gives you time. Money buys you time. Like, it's things that I'm starting to realize that when I used to go to the grocery store, I used to spend like an hour when I was in debt, right? Because spend like an hour because every single rand or dollar that I was spending, depending on which country I was in, counted. It really counted. It really did. But as my relationship with money improved, I started to notice that I spend like literally tops 15 minutes because I have a list, boom, 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 what I like, and I go. And then like before, it would be every single thing would be, can I do this or should I do this? And it's basically you're penny pinching because every single decision is so critical financially because there's not enough money for it, right? So even the most minutest decisions, do I get a pair of shoes? Do I get a pair of flip flops, just flip flops for the beach? Or do I just wing it and try to use my normal shoes? It's a huge thing when there's not enough money. I've been there. And then it occupies your entire mental space. But guess what? Because it's occupying your entire mental space, that mental space isn't being used for expansion thoughts. How can I make even double this so this is not a problem? You're not thinking those thoughts because you're not there in terms of your thinking. You're still here. Like, do I get flip flops or do I just wing it with my normal pumps? It's just, but when you're not worried about money, you're just going, do I get flip flops? Yes or no? It's not based on, is this going to completely put me off budget? Because it's a small amount, right? So small decisions get made at a faster pace, which clears our minds to make bigger decisions, like make choices and make decisions for way bigger things in our lives. So I think that for me is where I started to notice that, wow, this is why I work on my relationship with money. I didn't know it before, but now as I see the difference, I can be like, whoa, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I love that. It's really, really profound. I mean, there is so much to go into. When we speak about healing money, there is so much. But I feel like we've covered the main point, and now I'm not even visible because the lights just disappeared.
I can still see you a little.
Yeah, so I was thinking, we should think, I should ask you on things that people can do to begin that journey of healing their money stories. And then I'm like, no, she actually already has something coming up soon this week that people can do. It's free. And tell them about this so that people booking me, but booking me.
Okay, so I'm running a 5-day fall in love with your bank account challenge. Really, you guys heard my full story of panicking about withdrawing money and managing money, right? So I had to do this because over the years I've learned that I'm not the only one. Um, so I'm running a 5-day fall in love with your bank account challenge. It's all about changing your relationship with your bank account, but I have very practical tools on how to change your spending habits. Don't worry, it's not about, we're not going to be doing deep healing work. It's really practical tools that you can do 5 minutes a day during the challenge. So please join the challenge. You can go to wealthy-money.com/challenge. Again, it's wealthy-money.com/challenge. We start Wednesday, February 20th. We end Sunday, February 24th. After the 24th, you can no longer join the challenge. But I'm super excited, and you should join the Facebook group, and you'll see on there that there's some people that are doing the challenge for the second and third time. So I think this is the 5th time that I ran this challenge, and every time people have radical shifts. No, I lie. If Mizo's doing it for the 3rd time, then it might be the 3rd or 4th time that I ran this challenge, right? Because she's one of the money magic students that does this religiously. So she does the challenge, and people see incredible shifts. It's really just designed to do just that, to make you fall in love with your bank account, whether or not you have 0 rands or dollars in there, minus an overdraft, or just tons and tons of money. Join the challenge. I promise you, you'll get something from it.
Yeah,
Thanks, Joy.
yeah, I'm in the page and I'm like reading and I'm like, we haven't even started, but I'm so transformed right now. Just listening to your stories, listening to what you are teaching about money. So definitely, guys, please join in. For everyone who registered, we you got an email from me this morning, and the email has a link. So if you click that learn more, it will take you directly to the challenge. So sign up and be part of it. Start your your journey of financial freedom with Vangile Makwakwa. Thank you so much, Vangile.
Oh, thank you, Joy. We finally recorded it, and with no tech glitches.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
thank you for the great work, for this channeled work. It was so profound and so powerful, and I hope everyone who's going to see this, they will be as moved and transformed as I have been just transformed from.
I hope the exact same thing, hey, honestly.
Yeah. So thank you so much. And now I'm gonna release you
Thank
so
you.
you can drive home to your
It's great. I got to miss rush hour, so the roads will be clear now. I'm very happy. Thank you, guys. Let me know your thoughts. Join me in the challenge. I look forward to seeing you. Enjoy. Thank you so much for doing this. I can't wait to hear everyone else's interviews.
same here. I mean, I can't wait. It's gonna be so powerful. So if you love
It is.
transformed, if you connected with some parts, if you have some questions, feel free to ask us, feel free to comment, feel free to share. We're in the business of just changing our relationship with money as African people. So the more of us,
Hmm.
more that we can change this massive agreement that black women, African women, and women cannot aspire to be billionaires. Like someone mentioned that. I'm like, yeah, that's so true. We never think expanding to that level. And now this is how we are breaking that idea that yeah, we get to have the money that we have, that we want. So thank you so much, Randy.
Thank you, Joy. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you guys for joining us. We will see you tomorrow with another powerful healer with a great conversation as well. Bye bye.
Bye.